Hello traders and investors, I'm LA Little and this is your daily NeoTA wrap. Take a look at these markets, doing it from a neoclassical perspective each time, asking ourselves what happened today and what does it tell us about the coming ones. Do the show 4 times a week, every Monday through Thursday. It's broadcast at 10 o'clock Eastern Time. It's archived on YouTube. It's under the channel LA Little. If you want to subscribe, reach up the right hand corner and do so. That way you'll be able to keep up with what's going on. As far as what's going on, let's take a look at the ending numbers. We actually had some gains today. You had them pretty much across the board. A little eke out on the Dow. Actually was down. The S&P was a little bit up. It was centered in the NDX and the Russell. Overseas, a nice big spike up in Germany. Even the Nikkei got into it. Why is that? Well, the currencies started to move down and the dollar started to move up. Gold got whacked as a result. Silver the same. And so you're seeing sell-off in the commodities as the dollar tries to push up to the top side. And so that pretty much was the story today. So let's take a look at the charts. And if you turn into the weekly show last night, you saw that we were talking about probably a little bias to the upside today, this week in general. I tried to do that, a little doji at the end here. It did close over yesterday's high, so you got a little push up. Not much to it though, very weak, shall we say. As indicated at the top of the show, you're right, you had a little bit more strength in the NASDAQ. Of course, it sold off more. No volume today. It was a very light volume all across the board. That was true on the NASDAQ, was true on the S&P. Here's the NDX doing about the same thing. And again, note that all of these closed higher than Friday's highs, so you got a little bit of a follow-through. Didn't really go into anything of interest, and so it's pretty hard to say what this means other than you got a small bounce and not much more. If you take a quick look over at the OX markets, and focus in on, I'm going to start with the dollar. The dollar tried to push up a little bit more today, and so that push continues. The retest region on the dollar here is 24.38. Today you traded it back to 24.39, so you're a penny over it. Volume actually picking up as it's moving up. Remember, this is not what should have happened, and so the dollar, the fact that it's pushing up when it should have continued south is telling you something is probably going on here, and that something is, maybe that hawkish talk out of the Fed officials this week is going to actually lay the ground for people to believe that a rate hike is going to come. I don't know. All I know is what I see, and what I see is I see something that I shouldn't see, given the probabilities associated with the breakdown, because it was a breakdown over multiple swing points on multiple time frames. And so that tells me that you're getting a push, and that push is going to have an effect on a wide range of things, such as gold, such as basic materials, such as copper. It just go down the list. They're all going to get hit, and they're already getting hit, and that hits the emerging markets. And you see the emerging markets selling off again overnight. So dollar, currencies in general, still driving this market in a big way. And last night and today was no different. Matter of fact, if we look at the Canadian currency, I'm suspecting it came down again, and it did. So you're seeing a pretty big drop in the commodity producing countries. If we look at the overseas markets, we got a little bigger push up in the European markets. So here's Germany, a decent push higher. The CACs did the same thing. Swiss market, it too got a nice big push to the top side. If we move over to Asia, very different story. Shanghai sells off, breaks multiple swing points. Shanghai's in trouble again. And we've been talking about this and saying that it was, and yes, indeed it is. That swing point low, it's almost back underneath it again here. You break underneath that, you're going down and hitting those lows again on a weekly basis. And I don't think there's any way to sugarcoat that. That's not good. If we look at the Hong Kong market, also down here, toying with a swing point low. And it has regenerated, or is trying to regenerate off that push up on the weekly, right? Which is the bearish retest regen. And for those of you who haven't seen me draw these in or just would like me to draw them in, you can see that push down there. If we look over at some of the other markets, like the Taiwanese market, continues to push lower, and that's pretty much across the board in Asia. Asia's in trouble, has been in trouble. I've been saying that for a long time. Yeah, we can get a bounce here, but something fundamentally has to change, and so far it hasn't. What's the ending note here tonight? In a nutshell, it's just expect your bias to play out, because right now nothing's happening to tell you anything different. So we came into the week, talked about it last night's weekly show. The bias is to the upside. I would expect that bias to the upside to continue, but there certainly wasn't any major strength here today. The fact that it did bounce when it should bounce also makes me believe that bias, you have to kind of keep it and give it a chance to work higher. That's it for tonight. Thanks for joining me. As always, take care of yourself. Until next time, I'll see you then. Bye.